of hustle marketing is to take the resources that you currently have in your business, to not need a large ad spend, to not need a bag of money, to not need anything outside of what you currently do, and utilize those techniques so that you can get things going in your business. We're having trouble now with the slide. No, it's not working that way.
It might not let you share the slide when I'm the host. That's the problem.
All right.
So
We'll just keep.
why don't we do this? You record it and then we figure out how to share it.
That's all right. I got it.
Okay. Good. We're there.
We'll go through it this way.
Okay.
So I want to talk about marketing mindsets. This is really important. When I first started my business, I was lucky enough to have a great mentor, inspired me to open my business when I was 18 years old. Good side of that, you get to start early. Bad side of that, you don't know anything that you're doing. And in the process of getting things started, I didn't have a marketing degree. I didn't have a lot going on. I only knew about some of the things that my instructor did, my mentor did, and I tried to implement those. Now, the three things that I was doing in my business was I was putting small classified type ads in the local newspaper. It was called the Yankee Flyer. And basically what that was, it was like a Craigslist, but a printed version back then. The other thing that I was doing is I had a phone book. So I was just directly calling residents in the neighborhood, cold calling. And the last thing that I was doing was flyers. Now, none of those things I enjoyed. I didn't enjoy handing out flyers door to door. I hated doing the cold calling. And the ads were just, it's money putting in. So it was frustrating to me. My goal was to have 100 students in my academy, because I knew if I had 100 students, I could go full time. I wouldn't have to do my landscaping job in the morning in order to make that work. After a year of doing that marketing, I only had 28 students. Now, my parents had a rule that if I wasn't going to college and didn't have a full-time job, that I couldn't live with them. They didn't really care about the martial arts business. They thought that that was a hobby and I shouldn't be doing it. So their rule was I have to have full-time school, full-time employment, and I could play karate on my own time. So at the end of the year, I was just totally burnt out. I was working 18 to 20 hour days and I was just totally spent. I had no energy left. And I decided that I was going to take my business plan to my college professors, tell them this is how I'm going to get 100 students. And if I am able to do this, then give me an A. And if I don't get 100 new students, if I only get 99 or less, then give me an F, just fail me. But I can't come to your class anymore. And then I explained to them the whole thing with my parents. So the first college professor that I presented this to basically told me, this is absurd. It's the biggest joke he ever heard to get out of doing one's work. And he rejected my idea. Now, the second college professor that I talked to wasn't a college professor as her profession. She actually owned 7 Ace Hardware stores. And when I presented the idea to her, she told me, get out. Get out because you know what you want to do. You know what you want out of your business, and that's everything. Go work on it. Now, she then started to talk to me for about 5 or 6 minutes. And in talking with her, my entire mindset shifted. I started to have optimism. I started to have faith. I started to have belief that I could actually turn this business into something great. Whereas before, all my focus was on what do I have to do in order to get this business going? She actually transformed how I felt about business. And from that feeling, my mind opened up and it just seemed like the creativity was all around me and I could grab onto new ideas. Well, I implemented her mindset. She didn't tell me what to do, but I implemented her mindset, totally changed my business plan. And I decided I'm going to run the greatest demo the state of Connecticut has ever seen. And I started to tell that to my students. Said, in 3 months, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this demo. And I was just excited about it. And I got everybody involved. I technically wasn't marketing my school. I was just passionate about it. Now, what's funny is I recruited a bunch of the students that loved working on the demo, and we were there all night doing it. And they were also helping me get the word out in the community. I did very little of it. It was more the students that were helping me out get the word out. And it was interesting because a few months after the demo, one of these students came up to me and I had written a board with 100 on it, meaning I'm going to get 100 students. And when I get it, I'm going to break this board, take a picture of it. It's a big, the thing. So I had that above my desk and one of my students came up to me and they handed me the board. They're like, you got to break this now. I'm like, what? We're over at 100 already? Yeah, we're at 119. We totally forgot about the goal. We did so well off of that demo. We went from 29 to 119 in just a few months. That's what happens when you shift your mindset and you don't worry about what activity, what work I have to do. And you shift the mindset so that that's in balance. Okay. So one of the things I realized changed when I met with this woman was I stopped thinking that something big has to change in my life. When I was struggling, I said, I have to have a marketing degree and a business degree before I could be successful in business. It has to change other than the way you're thinking right now. You have to start applying and what I call micro adjustments. If you're going to train in the martial arts, it's not that your entire body has to figure it out in order for you to get the technique to work. Usually what it is 80% of what you're doing is enough. It's just you need to move your elbow a little bit differently. And when you learn how to keep your elbow tight, now your defense is set up. Or when you learn how to get your footwork appropriate and your distancing appropriate, now all of a sudden that micro adjustment and you're hitting with all of your techniques. It's usually micro adjustments that are missing, not these major shifts that have to change. So that's the first thing. The second thing, people will put all of this power outside of themselves. You know, the political environment has to change. COVID has to end. All of this stuff outside of them, and it just paralyzes you because you can't do anything about COVID. You can't do anything about the political environment. You can't do anything about your landlord doing this or that. All of those things are outside of you. And if you put all that power out there, then you can't implement any of the tools that we're going to be talking about because those things are holding you back. So the key is to go within. And the way that I would recommend you do this, and if you guys want to participate with a little journal exercise, this will go a long way. I'd like you to just put down in that's exactly going on. Now, if you usually say that, then just do that 2 more times. How do I feel about my business right now? I'm sorry, go ahead, Pat.
You blanked out. We didn't hear what you said to say.
Okay, so the journal exercise is what we wanted to cover. Did you guys catch any of that?
No.
Go within.
Okay, so let's
your power, and then you said there were some things you wanted us to do, and then you cut out.
Okay, so if you have a pen and paper, all I want you to do is write down how you feel about your business right now. How do you feel? What is the emotion behind your business? Are you excited, nervous, scared, etc.? How do you feel? And then I just want you to go further. How else do you feel? Because I know with me in my own business, sometimes I'm excited, sometimes I'm nervous. It's both. And if you could do that 3 or 4 times, just what are these emotions behind your business? That's key, because we got to separate ourselves from being inside of that. I talk a lot. When you run a business, one of the hardest things is you're trying to read the label from being inside the bottle. It's really difficult because you're living all of these experiences. And a lot of people will know viscerally the value that they offer in their business, but they don't see it from the customer's perspective. Well, when you write down how you feel about your business, it's a way of separating yourself from that feeling just for a second so you could look at it. Because if you are feeling fear or worry or doubt or hesitation or a lack of courage, if you're feeling any of those things about your business, let me say, that's what's holding you back more than the tools. Because it's the negative emotion behind that you have to heal before you can implement these tools and go forward. Some people have a negative belief about marketing where they're interrupting people's day or they're bothering people. Well, from that mindset, you're not going to be able to implement any of those tools. So you need to be able to go within. Next. Okay, the feathered bed approach. The feathered bed approach is where you hear about somebody's success, you do a webinar like this where they give you tools, etc. And then in your mind, you're like, this is great. I'm so excited. I'm going to implement this. And as soon as I implement it, things are going to go well for me. That feathered bed approach never works out the first time you do it. So what I recommend is that you champions mindset instead. When I competed, I knew that I was going to be going up against world-class competition. These guys are literally trained killers. I knew that they were going to have powerful kicks, fast punches, and even techniques that I've never seen before to use against me. So one of the things that I would do as a mental exercise is I would visualize, okay, I'm going to go into this match and I'm going to lose. Not only am I going to lose, I'm going to lose in a humiliating. And I would visualize the process until I would actually feel it viscerally. And then I would say, how am I going to handle that well? Once I got myself to handle the defeat in my mind, then I was prepared to get out there and do whatever it was that I had to get done. But when I would imagine the feathered bed, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to throw 3 techniques, the guy's going to fall down, and I'm going to be world champion. When I would take that approach, it would never work well. So I've always implemented this in my business. I'm going to do this staff meeting. What happens if everything goes poorly? How will I handle that well? And once you could see yourself handling things well, you're never afraid to apply them anymore, and you can learn from them. It's a way to exercise courage, and it goes completely against what most people say. Visualize success, visualize success, visualize success. That's the first step. You'll do that. That builds energy and excitement. Great. But now see yourself being an ultimate failure. Everything you do falls apart, and how do you handle it well? And you'll be amazed at the courage that comes from that. Now, with that being said, and by the way, the emotional self-defense, this is my book, which I highly recommend for any entrepreneur because it covers those mindset things that you need to shift. We're not going to get into those mindset tools, but let's get into the actual marketing tools. These are just some of the things that as a part of what Betty and I do, we create these little videos to give you these training sessions on these different marketing tools. So I wanted to cover 4 of them today that I found to be, all of these I've used in my business and they all have great value, but these are just 4 of the examples. And when you implement these, just the idea, Betty and I were talking about this earlier, strategy versus activity. Your first step in implementing any of these tools is going to be the activity, to try it once or twice. But then you want to start thinking strategically. How in the world can I do this in a more consistent way or in an automated way? And once you start to find those processes, then you can plug them into your business and then you can move on to the next stage. Some of these automations might mean that you hire a company to help you with it. Some of it might be you have a VA. Some of it might be that you can use the technology to do it, etc. But here's the first one. Everybody who enters. As a martial arts academy, we will have people who walk into our school. Sometimes they're walking into the school to sell us something. Hey, we have a new cell phone provider service. Are you interested? We'll have deliveries that come in. Well, what I train my staff on is anybody who walks into the academy is a prospect. So you make sure you let them know we have a class for them or a family member that might be of value. And what's interesting is we've actually signed up UPS drivers. They came in delivering the UPS package that we ordered. Hey, by the way, we have a great adult program. We teach Krav Maga. Have you ever done that before? And we just start up the conversation with everybody who enters. The reality is, we have a brick and mortar location. You might not have that. But if you think about that, everybody who enters into your social media, they're a prospect. Everybody who friend requests you, they're a prospect. You have to get comfortable with anybody who is brought to my life to be able in some way say to them, this is what I offer for somebody like you. Are you interested? Or this is what I offer. This was kind of an interesting thing. One of the things I have on here is speakers. We're not going to go over how I get into that, but I remember one of the speeches I did, I set it up and it was a retirement community. And in the retirement community, I'm like, these really aren't my demographic. I teach mixed martial arts. Not a lot of people over the age of 40 want to do martial arts. This isn't really my demographic. So initially when I started the speech, I was a little selfish about the whole concept. But then I stepped back and I said, well, wait a minute, how am I really going to help these people? Not only do I teach martial arts, but I teach goal setting. And let me just take it from that approach. Let me just help this community, even though they're not going to be students of mine. Let me just take that approach. So I did the workshop from that, and I was amazed. I signed up more students from that speech than I did on any other speech I ever did, because every single one of these people in the retirement community had grandkids, and they all referred them to me so that they would become students. So that's a really important aspect of things, that a part of your marketing message, you might be talking to a demographic that isn't really qualified for what you offer. But when you get that clarity, this is who I am, this is what somebody could use this. That's why I wanted to share it with you. So anybody who enters into your life, consider them a prospect. Anybody who enters in your business, consider them a prospect without hard selling. Okay, introduction text. I'll do this with my students, and I usually will do this as looking for a success story or reporting a success story. In my industry, because we work with kids often, we'll have the parents who don't engage in class. They use this time to check their emails, go over their social media, and they're not really paying attention to what's going on, which I totally understand. You're busy and you're going to take advantage of this 45-minute vacation that you have without your kids. So we'll then communicate with them. I don't know if you're aware of this, but when your son first started, he was only able to do this, and now he's doing this, and I'm impressed by it. When he first started, he was really shy, but now I notice he reaches out and he says, "You're going to be my partner." He's got more confidence to go up to the other kids in class and work with them. That confidence is coming across because of what he's doing on the floor, and I'm really proud of him for that. So we would use these opportunities to say, this was the problem I saw. This is the transformation I'm seeing. And I'm just curious, is there anybody else that you know of that needs this kind of help, that is shy like your son? And now this is the big part of this. When you ask for a referral, the mindset of the person, if you could, again, get outside the bottle, the mindset of that person is, geez, who do I know that wants to do martial arts? And their brain automatically shuts down no one, because in the last 2 weeks, nobody has come up to them to say, you know what, I'm looking for a martial arts academy to train at. So you have to help do their thinking for them. So that's where we would do this. This is what your son was doing before. This is the problem that we solved. I'm just curious, who else do you know that could use a service like this? Who would he invite to his birthday party? Is he a part of a youth group? Who's in it? Who does he play with in the neighborhood? So now what I'm doing by asking those questions, I'm doing the thinking for the client. And they go, well, he is in a youth group. He does play soccer. And Joey is one of the kids on the soccer teams. And I noticed Joey is shy about going up and working with other kids. Perhaps that would be a good thing. Outstanding. Would you introduce me to Joey's mom? I want to let her know about what I do, and I want to give them a gift of training at our academy for a month for free. Then the client would then send the text message, Scott, meet Mary. And then I would take it from there. So that's how you introduce the introduction text. Now you could also do this from a standpoint of just customer satisfaction reports. You've been a customer with us for 4 weeks. How's it going? Are things working out well for you? Then when you get them going, yes, I love it, 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 you could then take that approach. Well, I'm just curious, who else do you know that might be interested in what we do? Who's your neighbor? Who do you work with? Do you go to the gym? Do you have a workout buddy, etc.? Okay, so that's that one. Next one, testimonials. This isn't the standard what you think. Put it on the website, let people know. I think it's very important to have testimonial speeches that you use to explain the benefit of the program or your service or what you offer. And I'll give you an example of this. One of my students, and this was before I got really into making sure that my school was a personal development academy. And that's our tagline. We're a personal development academy that just happens to teach martial arts, not the other way around. And when I was 18, 19 years old, I was just focused on getting people to kick and punch well. That was my immaturity at that time. But I started to have all these people come up to me, and their lives would transform because of the training. And Tina was one of those women. Tina got pregnant when she was in high school. school. By the time that she was 29, she had 5 kids. Her husband was physically abusive and beat her. And she felt stuck because she didn't have a high school diploma. She didn't feel that she could get a job out on her own. And so she was stuck in this abusive relationship. So she started training in martial arts with me and found the courage to leave this toxic relationship and move on, get her GED, and get her own career started. Now, what's interesting is I never talked to Tina about standing up for yourself, leaving abusive relationships, or anything of that nature. I just simply said, in order to move with more power, do this with your body. And she would come in for 40 minutes to an hour twice a week, be moving in a powerful way. Well, as she started to move in this powerful way, when she would then entertain the mindset of self-doubt, I'm not good enough to get my GED, the feeling that she had in her body said, bullshit, that's not true. Look how powerful you are. Because she had that feeling, and that was what led to her developing the mindset to transform. So can you see by me telling you that testimonial that you have a better understanding that my program is not about self-defense. It's about finding a way to transform your life. That's why I recommend you got to have these real stories of testimonials. This is what the before and after looks like, because to that person who's outside the bottle, who only sees the label, they don't know how delicious the wine is inside. That testimonial helps them understand that. All right, next one. Challenge a celebrity. We did this. There was a radio station that had a fitness guru that during lunch would, take phone calls. Hey, I'm trying to lose weight and I can't lose it. And she would give her advice. So I called up and I said, I've got a fitness kickboxing program and I don't think you can handle it. I think if you came down and did just 30 minutes of our class, you would get so exhausted, you'd have to bow out and leave. And I'm challenging you to come down and do one of our workouts. Well, she came down and did a workout and she was singing our praises on the radio after that. It was such a huge win. So if there's a celebrity that is communicating currently with your current demographic, introduce them some type of challenge. Hey, I got this product and I'm going to challenge you. Use it for 30 days. If it sucks, you could tell everybody in the world that this is lousy. But if it's great, just sing my praises. It is a powerful tool when you come at it from that challenge standpoint. I'm so confident in this, I don't think that you can handle it. And if our workout is so pathetic, you could tell everybody that we suck on air. Most of the time, people won't do that other side of it. They realize that you're tongue in cheek and you're being playful, and they'll come down and they'll do a great job. Well, with that strategy, when we implemented the kickboxing program, we actually, because of that kind announcement that she did, we ended up buying radio ads. It was one of the best promotions that we ever did, because we had that synergy of the staff that's on air going, no, these are really great people. You got to go there. You got to go there. And it was funny because at that time, my wife and I were teaching out of a sports center where there was a dance school, there was a basketball program and all this other stuff. Our kickboxing program blew up so much that we had to take over the basketball court. Our martial arts facility wasn't big enough to run all of the women that wanted to go there. So that was a really powerful process. Other thing, blog. And this is where Betty and I come in. When I started working with Betty, I'm like, this would be great because I always I have all this curriculum. I have all this content. I just don't find the time that I could sit down and write it. So what Betty and I do is we get together on a weekly basis and I tell her some of these lessons and she puts them into a blog that I put on my website. And I don't know if you've ever heard the long tail keywords. When you talk martial arts, everybody that's in the martial arts industry is targeting, martial arts training, taekwondo, all that kind of stuff. But way down here, you have ADD and weight loss and kids activities where they won't sit the bench. All of those micro keywords you could target with your blog. They don't have enough traffic that it makes it worth it to do ad spend on those keywords. But the nice thing is once you write those blog with those long tail keywords, it's up there forever. And I noticed that after I worked with Betty, what are we up to? Like a dozen blogs or so now?
Yeah, I think it's 12 or 13, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was going from 2 to 3 new leads for my website without a blog. And I've doubled that just with the the dozen that we've been doing together. So that's a strong recommendation. Make sure you do that and target the long tail keywords. Your main website description is, you know, your main categories, Krav Maga, self-defense, all that, etc. But then hit some of those long key benefits. All right, last thing that I want to wrap things up with, the coaching myth. There are so many people that will resist coaching, even doing a webinar like this. They'll resist it because a part of them is saying, you know, if I need coaching, that must mean that I'm weak, or it must mean that I don't know what I'm doing. It's a subconscious belief, but that's what happens with a lot of times when people run through coaching. Well, if that was true, then every single superstar athlete that you see making $30 million a year would be weak, because in just the martial arts industry alone, when you have a UFC fighter, they have a ground coach, meaning this guy's going to coach him just on submissions. Then they have a takedown coach. Then they have a striking coach. Then they have a weight loss coach. Then they have a nutrition coach. They have all these coaches that help make them successful. What the reality is, when you open up for coaching, what you're saying is, I'm aligning with my ambition. I want my business to be here. It's here right now. I know that I'm good enough to be there. I believe it. I know it. I feel it. I'm going to get a coach that's going to take me that other 10%. That's what we want to do with our marketing organization. Our marketing organization is not just a bunch of tools. Here, do this, do this, do this. It's about developing the mindset that goes with those techniques. And when I got together with Betty and Tom to create this, that's exactly what we wanted to do. Betty's skills are the copywriting. So she can help people in that aspect of the business. Tom's skills is actually creating structures and system for delivering the marketing message. Whereas my skill is the mindset aspect. Plus, I've been running a small business, over 30 years now, and I've implemented all of these different tools in my academy to make it one of the best martial arts academies in the United States. We are in the top 5% of organizations that are out there. And I'm very proud of that fact. But it's all from this alignment with the marketing message, to not see against it. You know, one of the things that we run into with, I'll have school owners who are great martial artists and really caring teachers. And they have what they call the McDojo syndrome, that if you implement any professional marketing or sales strategies in your business, you're automatically a McDojo. You're untrue to the art. You're no longer a genuine black belt. And it's that mindset that is keeping them from serving more people in their business, which I just think is absolute tragedy. But by learning these concepts, it makes it easier for you to apply those in your business. So this is my offer to you guys. If these tools are something that you want to be a part of, our fee is $150 a month. It's nothing. But it gives you access to these tools on our website so that you can, read about it, implement it, and then start developing the strategy. The other thing that we do is we're constantly adding content. Every week, Betty and I are getting together. We're creating more content to put it up there. So there's constantly new, fresh ideas. A lot of these tools that I showed you on here, some of the things you might go through and go, that's not for me. I don't like that feeling, like the way I would do cold calls. You notice there's no cold calling on this because I hated doing it. So I just wouldn't do it anymore. Some people are phenomenal with it. But if some of those tools don't work for you, then you don't use them. But the good news is, if you just implemented 4 or 5 of these strategically in your business, they can make a dramatic shift in the amount of leads that are coming through and what you're doing as a whole. So if you want to get started, my offer is this. We're going to give you 50% off the first month, and it's 100% guaranteed. Get onto the website. If you hate it, none of this stuff is working for you, we'll give you your money back. You got 30 days to try us out, just test it out, test drive, make sure you like it. If you do like it, then you'll start doing the $150 a month. And we'd like to know what your feedback is. What's working? What's missing? What should we add to this? Because you're going to be one of the new people coming in there, you're going to have a direct line to us so that we can work together and we can make this a really great marketing program for your business. So if you're interested in doing that, you're going to reach out to Betty. Just send her a Facebook message that you want to get started. Tom will get you all hooked up with the login codes and everything else. Be patient with us for this weekend. Tom had a family tragedy. His sister passed away, so he's not going to be available. But on Monday, we will get you set up and ready to go. So I want to thank you guys for listening in, and I really hope to be a part of your business success moving forward.
Thank you very much, Scott. Great information.
Great, I
Appreciate.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Excellent.
I thought your presentation was really good. I'm going to stop. Actually, I thought it rocked. Okay. So I'm going to stop recording and then we can just talk.